Kaylee was coming in. Kaylee Evans was coming in from a field trip, so Clark had to wait on her to bring her to church at Greene County Schools, which I get it. When you're small, you want to get all your schools right there together, but it's inconvenient when you have to deposit or retrieve somebody before or after school.
They've got that with Albemarle, because it's Albemarle, Jewett, Journey, and Greer,
Yeah, it just,
and Post High.
for about 40 minutes on either side of those times, it's a mess, and after that, it's fine.
If you don't leave the parking lot by 3:15, you're not getting out until after 4 o'clock.
Well, the bad one at Greene County is it Selt Road? You turn right, and you go all the way down to Business 33, because they want you coming in from that far end. But what happens is that all backs up, and then the left turn lane gets full, and then you get to the part of the road that's only one lane. And so people are waiting to turn into school, and traffic cannot get through. And you just have to sit and wait there till things start. So it's not. Now that's, I don't know what that is.
It's up in Greene County.
We're talking up in Greene, north of here on
You're
Alpha.
thinking Monticello,
Oh, okay.
or Hale, or not Hale, not Hale.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we're on the other side up north, so yeah. Okay, how's everybody doing tonight? Andy, did we determine if you're talking to me or not? Well, I left you high and dry on Sunday, so. Yeah, did you get my message? You didn't respond until after the time to be here.
Oh, no.
You saw it in time?
No, I didn't, but I don't react strongly. Besides, you're the elder.
Yeah. And we don't have any Anderson or Himmelrichs here to report on the Halloween party. I do have pics of the Himmelrichs, all in costume. Halloween's one holiday that clan takes seriously. So if you need to see Lorelei or Levi or yeah. I think if things had been a little different this year, they probably would have done that again. But we didn't have any at our house.
We had 0 last year and 1 group before this year.
Well, I didn't expect any because I turned off all the lights, and our house is, what is that, 50 yards off of the street, no lights on, there's no street light, and I turned off all the lights and went in the basement. So I could have had some, but
We used to get some, but then when they built Riverwood on to Briarwood, all the kids go down that way.
okay, they don't turn down your street.
They don't come down the end
Yeah.
of the street.
Well, there's got to be some trunk or treats around here too.
Sterling reported it's not a big deal in France. You wander around with your kids, every once in a while you see a portrait of it.
Okay. Well, I read an article this week that I had never heard this, that trick-or-treating was popular in the late 1800s up till about 1920 or so on Thanksgiving. Have you ever heard this? And they said it started when the kids were out of school and they would dress up like ragamuffins, the street hoodlum kids, and they'd go around and doing that. And it wasn't till the 20s that it started shifting to Halloween. So the celebration of Halloween with the trick-or-treating like we do it is actually not even 100 years old to be that popular. And there was some place in Minnesota that claims to be the place that kind of started the shift to that day, which,
Does everybody know what it was Monday and Tuesday in Europe?
well,
All
All Saints Day and,
Saints Eve and All Saints Day.
right. So,
All Saints Day is when Christians would go out and they would monitor the cemeteries and they would know in advance that certain people were buried there who had no nearby relatives to ever come decorate their grave.
right.
So on All Saints Day, November 1st, you go out and visit the graves of those who have no one else to visit their graves.
Well, and that in Mexico, it's Day of the Dead, right? And they have a little different emphasis, but the same kind of idea of visiting and paying respect. And so, I guess I always assumed that they had done Halloween like that for millennia, right? Go way back. It's actually a 20th century kind of phenomena. So see, that's why we study, right? We learn things we never even knew. So talked to Kathy a little bit and got the treatments are going well so far. Kate's had 3 treatments. They take about 3 hours. So she usually leaves the room a little before 9 and is back around lunchtime. So if you've ever visit her, mornings are probably not good right now. Probably want to do it after she's had time to get back in the room. The reports I'm seeing on Dan things are good. The ventilator's out. Most things are being controlled with very little intervention, so things are improving. Do you have any other update, anybody? Feeding tubes out. That appears to be handled, and so kids from Dallas, you may have seen them here on Sunday or here. I haven't heard if Sterling and his wife and daughter are back yet, but they're headed back soon. No, Taylor. I looked at you, so I said Sterling. Taylor is, and Melissa. I haven't heard if they're back yet, but I think they're due back soon. So things are progressing there. Denise's dad had heart valve replaced, and it went very well. What did you tell me he said today when you talked to him? It's something about he could. Oh, he got up and walked, and he actually didn't get out of breath or something. What? Yeah. So appears that there's always chance of secondary things developing, right? But I think that's good. Your mother-in-law, any update there?
No, she's in the skilled nursing facility. It's not really much progress.
Okay.
They're still working her leg a little bit, still hasn't moved her arm, still doesn't do anything to herself.
Yeah, and so that may or may not change a whole lot, but she's being taken care of at this point. Okay. Anybody else we need to update on?
One of Evan's teachers, Philip Plowman, he and his wife had their 3rd baby 5 months early.
Right.
She was born in May. She was 15 ounces.
Wow.
She's a micropreemie. So she's obviously been in a NICU at UVA since then, and they're working on getting her home. But that's right as school started, she got an infection that set her back. And so I think she's on a breathing tube or something. They have to go through like 2 months of training before she can come home.
Yeah.
And then he's going to actually stay home with her
Okay.
full time.
Yeah.
Starting in whenever she comes home, starting in January or sometime like that, for at least a few months. But they have 2 other kids who are like 6 and under. So it's been very, very stressful.
So just, we'll continue, Plowman's, right? Continue to pray for them. It made me think about, we took kids to camp in Abilene all the time. And one of the things I really liked about that camp is we got out into the community. A lot of times we were working, doing projects, especially with middle schoolers. We'd take them and expose them to somebody who was doing something that was remarkable in some way. And Abilene's really an unusual place. It's just seemed like a normal little town, but they have, and maybe it's because of 3 Christian colleges in the town, they just have lots of people who have a good desire to help people around them. And they had a daycare for medically fragile children. So, we didn't volunteer. You had those kids that have the brittle bone disease. I won't be able to say the name, but you know what I'm talking about. You touch them, they break a bone. Well, you have to have pretty skilled nurses even, not just anybody, to know how to help these kids. And these people were running this, and it was the only relief that a lot of these caretaking parents would have. It might just be 3 hours and go to dinner and not have them on the front of their mind. And even just talking to the few parents that might have come through where we were there, it was just that even moment of relief. Or I think about at our church in Tyler, we had an Alzheimer's daycare 1 day a week where the caregiver could come and go to the grocery store without their person they were caring for. And the Alzheimer's people came in and used our building. That's what we provided. We didn't have the expertise or knowledge. But again, it was just even having that 1 day off provided 6 hours of, you don't have to be totally responsible for this person. And as we're thinking about how can we serve in the community, it doesn't have to be even something that drastic, but what I'm linking up is just even giving people some relief, a moment to breathe, a moment to go, I'm not alone in this. Those are the kind of things that we're imagining to try to discover how to help, because it does make a great difference, even if it's just a little window. That may be all the help that we're able to do, but it may be exactly what they need, right?
Even for the Plowmans, it was like the school, or somebody set up a meal thing.
Exactly.
To bring them meals.
Right.
Because, he was telling me that, it's hard when he goes home in the evening, and he's like, I'm sorry, kids, I can't play with you right now, because Daddy's got to make food to feed you.
Right. There are things we can figure out that doesn't take the problem away, but it assists in making it a doable situation, right? So just let your imagination be watching for those opportunities. We may not even know yet what that opportunity is going to be, but then it may all just come together as we watch and are looking for it. Yeah.
You remind me of that example when Jesus is talking about taking care of various groups, that one number of people like lepers and prisoners, which are a couple of examples of people who are in forced isolation from the community.
Right.
So there's people who end up isolated from the community today for other reasons.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes social, sometimes economic, sometimes mental health and medical. I think that was the spirit of us wanting to help with the boxes for elderly at the food bank, right? Because they can get isolated, and just even having that ability is important. So that was just my encouragement for us to keep looking as we find ways to work individually, but also collectively as we encourage our community. Well, let's pause and have a prayer together. Father, you've heard our heart, our desire for the people that are close to us. We pray for Marshall and Bobby and Kathy. We pray for Caitlin and Dan, and give those families all the support that they need. Give them the encouragement through your Spirit. Help them to persevere and know truly they are not alone, because you're with them and we stand with them. And that matters, Father, and help us find ways to communicate that. We ask you to be with us as we look at our community and figure out maybe a group that's being overlooked, or a place we can be helpful that's not being addressed or taken care of, so that we can go in your name and bring you glory in the things that we do. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Another thought I had is, if we know Caitlin's going every day for treatment about 9 o'clock, just let's stop and pray at that moment for that treatment for that day, right? So around 9 o'clock, if you want to set an alarm or whatever you need to do, let's think about her at that moment. Be a good idea. And welcome to November. Right? We survived Rocktober, and now we're in November. And next week, when you come to church on Wednesday night, it won't be twilight, it'll be completely dark, right? I usually don't want to tell people this, because if they come at their usual time on Sunday, they would actually be early. But Sunday is daylight savings time, so since you're here tonight, you can get the extra hour sleep and not come to church early. You know, if you have class before church on that first Sunday in November, sometimes you have extra people in class that aren't normally there. But so enjoy as we fall back. So we made it through Kings, and here's what I'm wanting to do now. So this will, I don't know what you thought of studying about the different kings, but now we're going to bring in a different context and go back over some of the same time period, particularly after the fall of Israel and with these last kings of Judah, because some of the more ferocious prophets are during this time. Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and then you have some of the minor guys like Micah and Habakkuk, and even Nahum, who actually doesn't preach to Israel, but it's during this time frame. And take a look, because as we focused on the kings, you learn about what's kind of happening up here at the top, right? And even during the time of Isaiah, we have several good kings, right? Not all of them necessarily ended good, but there are 4 or 5 that started good, and several of them who ended good. So even when at the top they were getting some stronger leadership, I want to kind of paint the picture. There was broader problems. And it wasn't just getting people to worship the Lord, as in going to church, obviously. But the bigger issue was, as it is today, getting our hearts to follow after the Lord. And so tonight we're going to look at Isaiah a little bit. Let's start in chapter 30. And then next week we'll look at Jeremiah, and probably after that Ezekiel. But I love the prophets, because either in their language or sometimes even in their behavior or in the way they respond to what's happening around them. Some of them were professionally trained as priests, but a lot of them were not. They were just called to this job of prophet to speak for God to their people, right? Sometimes you hear prophet and you think foretelling, like they're future tellers. That's really not very much of what they did. A lot of the future telling is people later on looking back and saying, oh, this is what he was saying. But at the same time, he was speaking to his people in that day and time. He wasn't just speaking to the future. And we look back and go, oh, I see something different that speaks to us because of what he said. Because the truth was even bigger than they realized in the moment. For instance, a lot of the prophecies about the coming Messiah weren't labeled so much that at the moment, because they couldn't see that far down the road. But we can look back and go, that's obviously about Jesus as well, right? Not just only him, but certainly the fullest fulfillment would be in Jesus. So let's look at Isaiah 30. We're going to start in verse 8. This is during the time when there appears to be in Israel a pretty common idea. Well, you know, these bad guys from the north are coming. We could align ourselves with Egypt. When they were given at the moment, even with good kings, to choose to depend on the Lord, what do? They're like, well, yeah, that's good, but could we talk to Egypt as well? You know, because they got a really big army. So that's the moment, and this is what Isaiah then says in response to that idea. Now go write it down on a tablet in their presence, inscribe it on a scroll, so that it might be preserved for a future time, an enduring witness. So we can say, we told you, right? Part of what I'm trying to bring out here as we look at these, God over and over and over again tried to get the message through. He didn't just go, I've told you once, I'm not going to tell you again. Get it together. Over and over again, he tries to turn where they're headed, tries to turn their hearts. And why is he doing that? Verse 9, for they are rebellious people. They are lying children, children unwilling to obey the Lord's law. They say to the visionaries, or your translation may say their seer, see no more visions. And to the seers, and NIV, I think that word there is prophet, right? Don't relate messages to us about what is right. Tell us nice things, right? Don't help us see what's actually going on or what would actually help us. Just tell us something nice. Everything's good. You're doing the right thing. Everything's wonderful. Relate deceptive messages. Turn aside from the way. Stray off the path. Remove from our presence the Holy One of Israel. For this reason, this is what the Holy One of Israel says. So that's their posture, not just as king, but as a nation. They're having trouble hearing a tough message. I've told you before, my mom had a phrase, right? When she said, I have a bone to pick with you, and your mom probably had her own phrase, right? You knew what you were about to hear was not something that you were going to be proud of. You're, oh no, I'm in trouble. And at least she warned you ahead of time. That's kind of what Isaiah's doing. You want to hear like you're not in trouble when you are in trouble. You have rejected this message. You trust instead in your ability to oppress and to trick and rely on that kind of behavior. So this is not just whether the king is good or bad. A good leader has a hard time leading unwilling people, right? Just try being a youth minister and trying to get a bunch of teenagers to do what you think needs to be done, and they have other ideas. The phrase we often use was herding cats. It's hard to get them all moving in the right direction. So this sin will become your downfall. You will be like a high wall with bulges and cracks and is ready to collapse. Is that wall really worth anything? We went over, we've been talking about a little retaining wall in our front flower bed, and we were going to have it professionally done till we, I don't know what world this guy lives in, but he is not going to be doing the retaining wall. Let me just say that, because it was unbelievable. I could buy a new car for less. But we were picking up Janet the other day, and so we've been looking at little retaining walls. And this retaining wall wasn't, it wasn't even 3 feet high. It's probably 2.5 feet high and probably 4 or 5 rows. And she said, "Look at that." Well, it was about to fall over. Luckily, it wasn't, holding back. This was in her neighbor's yard. Wasn't holding back anything that would do any damage. It just made a little flower bed there. But somebody had just kind of thrown it up and stacked it up there, and it wasn't really doing its job. Well, we get that. If you walked by that big wall, you wouldn't feel protected. You would feel, I need to get away from it. It's coming down. That's what Isaiah is trying to get them to see. It crumbles suddenly in a flash. It shatters in pieces like a clay jar, so shattered to bits that none of it can be salvaged. Among its fragments, one cannot find a shard large enough to scoop a hot coal from a fire or skim off water from a cistern. For this is what the sovereign Lord, the Holy One of Israel, says: if you repented and patiently waited for me, you would be delivered. If you calmly trusted in me, you would find strength, but you are unwilling. So that's instructive, isn't it? It's not that they're in trouble for not following the rules. This is a matter of the heart, right? It's not just simple. It's deeper than that. And this is long before the end and what's already happening here. They're being told it's going to crash and there's not going to be anything left. Now, hopefully, if somebody showed up at my house and said, if you don't fix that, this whole thing's going to collapse, I wouldn't go, well, we'll wait and see. I'd jump into action. I mean, that's the point. Is there still time here? Yeah, that's why he sent the prophets. Because the desired outcome is for them to react to the news. And what was their response? We don't want to hear that. I didn't want to know that. You say, and I like these two verses here, 16 and 17. You say, no, we will flee on horses. Yeah, we'll get away. It won't be a big deal. And God's answer, so you will indeed flee. If you want fleeing, it's coming. You say, we will ride on fast horses. So your pursuers will be fast. You think you can outrun God is kind of the underlying message here. 1,000 will scurry at the battle cry of one enemy soldier. At the battle cry of 5 enemy soldiers, you will all run away, until the remaining few are isolated as a flagpole on a mountaintop or a signal flag on a hill. See, you gotta like the prophets. They create this picture. You think you can get away? No. There's going to be nothing left except like that one tree, that one stick, that one flagpole. just on the top. It's going to be obvious. Okay, now let's go to 40.
I just don't feel like they get it. In other words, you know, he's painting a picture to them, but they're not looking inward.
They're not.
They think everything is a physical action.
Well, and we can talk about this more. You know, and this is still true today. We view relationship with God as a transaction, right? I do something, you give me something. And that's involved, but it's not the heart of it. The heart of it's a relationship, and that's what he's always wanted, even here. And you think about the world, what are they used to? You do something, you make a sacrifice, and what does that do? That appeases the God. And if you appease the God, what does he do? Something for you. Even the whole idolatry system was transactional. And as James, as you point out, they're missing the point, right? They're not seeing past of what God's really wanting. And that's why I like Isaiah 40 here. We're going to start in verse 15. Look, the nations are like a drop in the bucket. They are regarded as dust on the scales. What is he saying? They don't matter. You don't even clear the dust because it's not going to make the price any different, right? It's dust. In comparison to the Lord. He lifts the coastlands as if they were dust. Not even Lebanon could supply enough firewood for a sacrifice. Its wild animals would not provide enough burnt offerings. All the nations are insignificant before him. They are regarded as absolutely nothing. I know you're worried about Assyria, but what are they? Nothing. They're dust. They're a drop. To whom can you compare God? To what image can you liken him? A craftsman casts an idol, a metalsmith overlays it with gold and forges silver chains for it. To make a contribution, one selects wood that will not rot. He then seeks a skilled craftsman to make an idol that will not fall over. And this is one of my favorite phrases, and we're going to hear it a couple of times here. Do you not know? Do you not hear? See, Isaiah's frustration is you don't get it. Are you not listening? Are you not watching? Are you not seeing what's all around you? He's trying to cause them to reflect and to hear and to look inward, to evaluate. Has it not been told to you since the very beginning? This is not like he just showed up. This has been going on since Abraham, right? Have you not understood from the time the earth's foundations were made? Oh, wait a minute. This goes back even further. He is the one who sets on the earth's horizon. Its inhabitants are like grasshoppers before him. He is the one who stretches out the sky like a thin curtain. He spreads it out like a pitched tent. He is the one who reduces rulers to nothing. He makes the earth's leaders insignificant. We got an election coming up. If you turn anything on, it's there. You go to your mailbox, it's stuffed full of stuff, right? And with every election comes, this is the end. If you don't make the right choice, everything's going to be terrible. And both sides are saying that. Well, there's a different picture, right? And I'm not saying don't vote. I'm not saying it won't have consequences, but I'm saying there's something larger. He is the one who reduces rulers to nothing. He makes the earth's leaders insignificant. Indeed, they are barely planted. Yes, they are barely sown. Yes, they barely take root in the earth. And then he blows on them, causing them to dry up. Or we would say, they're dandelions. Right? A little kid blows on them and they disintegrate. The wind carries them away like straw. To whom can you compare me? Who do I resemble, says the Holy One. Look up at the sky, who created all of these heavenly lights. He is the one who leads out their ranks. He calls them all by name. Because of his absolute power and awesome strength, not one of them is missing. It's not like well, the sun comes up most days. We're hitting about 90% every day at its appointed time. That's the God who controls that. That's who we're talking about. Can you have some confidence in him? That's what Isaiah is trying to do, right? I understand you're scared. I understand that Syrians are bad. But let's talk about who we're talking about. Why do you say, Jacob? Why do you say, Israel? The Lord is not aware of what is happening to me. My God is not concerned with my vindication. See, they're justifying, we need Egypt because where's God? Is he going to show up? What is he going to do? He doesn't even know. Do you not know? Have you not heard? There it is again. The Lord is an eternal God, the creator of the whole earth. He does not get tired or weary. There's no limit to his wisdom. He gives strength to those who are tired. To the ones who lack power, he gives renewed energy. So now we get to verse 30 and 31, which you've seen hundreds of plaques with this on it, pulled out of context. Meaning it's a great plaque, but to me it means even more in the context of what Isaiah is trying to say here. Even youths get tired and weary. Even strong men clumsily stumble. But those who wait for the Lord's help find renewed strength. They rise up as if they had eagle's wings. They run without growing weary. They walk without getting tired. I ran across a video of a father and son a number of years ago, and they are runners. Except the son has some debilitating disease that he can't even walk. And so this dad builds this contraption, this three-wheeled wagon that he can push. And this is not a little boy. This is a grown man of a boy in a diseased body. And they run marathons. And this was years ago. I don't know if if the dad can still do it or not, but they had run dozens of marathons. And you interview the boy, and he talks about when they run. He's just sitting there, he's doing nothing, but he gets it, right? They're running together. And I did a sermon one time, and I showed the video. There was this little video of that, and I said, that's us. We're the guys in the basket, right? We're running, but we are doing nothing. That's what Isaiah is trying to get him to see, right? I get it. It's scary what you're facing and what's coming.
In the context of, instead of relying on these other nations, instead of fearing Assyria, whatever, lean on the Lord. When we take it out of the context, the last two verses out of the context, it's just kind of some general inspirational thing.
Right.
But it's not really about the contrast
God's going to make you fly like an eagle. That's not what he's saying.
If you trust in the Lord, let him lift you up.
Yeah.
Trust in the armies of Egypt and so on.
And nor does it mean that everything's, our trouble is we take a pronouncement to a nation and we make it a pronouncement to us, right? Is Israel going to be destroyed? No. Even after all this, we know, because we know the rest of the story, there's a remnant. He's not saying, and there's going to be bad things happen. And it's not transactional on a personal level, because that's not what's going on here. You're not alone. And the only place is with the Lord. Yeah.
Even in the New Testament, you're reading Paul's epistles, he uses the word you. Well, of course, in English that can be singular or plural. He's talking to a whole congregation.
Right.
God predestined you. You think, me as an individual? It's like, well, he's not. He's talking to the whole, Ephesians or whatever.
Right. That's where translation sometimes doesn't help us, because English is not always the best language at being precise. Right? If it was written by Texans, you would know the difference of you and y'all, right? But we don't get to know that. Okay, we're going to look at two more here. We got about 6 minutes. Isaiah 46, one of my favorite passages in the entire Bible, because here's what he's trying to lead them to. It's not just about stop doing bad. I mean, that is a starting point, right? But the expectation was for something greater. I'm going to start in verse 8 of Isaiah 46. Remember this, so that you can be brave. Why does he tell them that they can be brave? It's because they're going to need to be brave. This is not going to be easy. Think about it, you rebels. Remember what I accomplished in antiquity. Truly I am God. I have no peer. I am the God, and there is none like me, who announces the end from the beginning. Now, if we're watching a movie together, please don't do that. But if it's the outcome, I like God knowing the end from the beginning. And reveals beforehand what has not yet occurred. Who says, started in verse 8, my plan will be realized. I will accomplish what I desire. Do you take comfort in that? When you're looking around and you don't know how it's going to happen, and you don't know what's going to happen, that the Lord comes and says, I accomplish what I desire. Who summons an eagle from the east? From a distant land, no one carries out my plan. Yes, I have decreed. Yes, I will bring it to pass. I have formulated a plan. Yes, I will carry it out. Listen to me, you stubborn people. You who distance yourself from doing what is right. I am bringing my deliverance near. It is not far away. I am bringing my salvation near. It does not wait. I will save Zion. I will adorn Israel with my splendor. Mm-hmm. And he's not going to be denied or thwarted, is he? And if you go into chapter 49, he tells them about what he wants them to do. And the plan in 49 is not for him to save Judah and Israel. Even though he's going to do that, what is the plan? In fact, he says, it is too small a thing that I would save Judah and Israel. If you think that's the plan, you're not thinking big enough here. What's the plan?
Talked about it Sunday morning.
Did you? Yeah,
The Messianic prophecy happened to hit right there on Sunday morning.
yeah,
The Messiah is for the whole world, not just this nation, it's the people.
right. And we understand that better, but that was the plan all along. Not just Jesus getting here, but they were to be light to the Gentiles. And if they had been light to the Gentiles and then Jesus comes, would the job have been easier? I mean, that's the idea, right? If people are already looking to Israel because they are the witness of God in the world, what happens when his son shows up? But they had a hard time capturing that mission. And so that Isaiah 49:6 is that just, I will confess to you, the first time I read it, my brain put a knot in it, an N-O-T. And my brain read it, it is not too small a thing for me to save Judah and Israel. And then I read that out loud, and one of my teenagers said, you need to read that again. Oh wait, that knot's not there. It is too small a thing. Because it always seemed to be about the people of God and their salvation, but that salvation is for a purpose, right? Something greater. Okay, let's just real quick do Isaiah 55. This will be a good sending out here. Hey! See again, prophet speaking. Hey! Getting our attention. All who are thirsty, come to water. You who have no money, come, buy and eat. Come, buy wine and milk without money and without cost. That'll preach, right? Why pay money for something that will not nourish you? Now we're getting to the point. Why are you investing in Egypt? Even the Assyrians know what that is. Remember what they called it? A splintered reed, right? Wasn't that what the Assyrian captain said? You're going to lean on that stick and it's going to poke you. Why spend your hard-earned money on something that will not satisfy? Listen carefully to me and eat what is nourishing. Enjoy fine food. Pay attention and come to me. Listen so you can live. Then I will make an unconditional covenantal promise to you. Just like the reliable covenantal promises I made to David. It wasn't just for David, I want to make it with you. And what was that promise? I will be your God and you will be my people, right? Look, I made him a witness to the nations, a ruler and commander of nations. Look, you will summon nations. You did not previously know nations that, I'm reading that roughly. Look, you will summon nations you did not previously know. Because of your witness, you're going to draw these nations. Nations that did not previously know you will run to you. Because of their greatness? No, because of the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, for he bestows honor on you. Seek the Lord while he makes himself available. Call to him while he is nearby. Man, Isaiah is just laying it on. Come on, folks, look up, listen. Do you not know? Do you not understand? Do you not hear? There's still time. We can still fulfill the mission that he intended for us. But yet, as we know through our previous study, they continue to move away. All right. Thanks for being here tonight. We'll keep bringing these. My hope is that bringing these prophets just fleshes out the story we know and serves as an encouragement for us to pay attention and to ask that question. Do you not know? Do you not hear? Because I want to be able to answer yes to that. But sometimes we have to stop and reflect, right? We have to look in ourselves. What is really happening? What's really going on?
Yeah, just about everything here is just man's action,
Mm-hmm.
the way we really are.
Yes.
You know, there's no finger pointing, from Adam, there's no finger pointing.
Exactly. But there is something different if we pay attention.
Yeah,
Yeah.
message.
Yeah. That's
That's why that verse 6,
yeah.
seek him while you can see him.
Yes. Yes. Seek him while he's nearby. Yeah. Good.